right, we're ready to start chapter 3, and chapter 3 is all about solving quadratic equations. This first section, we're going to talk about several methods of solving quadratic equations. One is by graphing. We're going to use the calculator to do this, and we'll do several examples in class. You're going to, when you have this on your graphing screen on the calculator, you're going to use the calc mode just on the top row, and you're going to find the zeros. Remember that the solutions to any polynomial function is where the graph crosses the x-axis. Those are called the zeros, the solutions, the roots. And if you were to put this in your graphing calculator and use the calc mode to find the zeros, you're going to find that x is equal to -2 and 3. Remember, you're going to use the calc menu to find the zeros, which is number 2 option, and you're going to have to do that twice because there's 2 solutions. And again, the solution of any polynomial is where the graph crosses the x-axis. In other words, where y is equal to 0. Okay, the second method we're going to talk about is by using square roots. So, for example, let's say we have 4x squared minus 31 equals 49. So the first step you want to do is get the x squared term by itself and put the constants on the other side. This is the method you would use if there's no x term, if it's just the x squared term and constants. So we're going to add 31 to both sides, and which gives us 4x squared equals 80. Divide both sides by 4. And so x is equal to, and you have to remember to do the plus or minus, because if you take the square root of a number, it has a positive square root and a negative square root. The square root of 20, we can simplify that to the square root of 4 times 5, and we know what the square root of 4 is, so we take that out, and we're left with just plus or minus 2 times the square root of 5. And this is considered the exact answer. If you approximate that, 2 times the square root of 5 on your calculator, that's an approximate answer. This is the exact answer. And this is what we prefer, actually, in this chapter. The next method we're going to talk about in solving quadratic functions is by factoring. So let's say we have this example, x squared minus 4x equals 45. We want to get everything on one side and set it equal to 0 so that we can factor it. So here we've subtracted 45 from both sides to get this trinomial. And hopefully you'll remember your factoring days from algebra. If I were to FOIL this, I'm going to get this in return. So remember that if this times this equals 0, then either this equals 0 or this does. So you just set each one of those equal to 0 and solve. X minus 9 equals 0, x would have to be 9. X plus 5 equals 0, x would have to be -5. So the answers are x crosses the graph crosses the x-axis at -5 and +9. Okay, let's do a problem, an example, how we would use factoring. So let's say we have it's given to us that the area of the circle is 25 pi, and the radius is x minus 5. Okay, obviously we want to find x. We'll solve for x. So just a reminder, I know that the area of a circle is pi r squared, but I know that the area of the circle is 25 pi, so I'm going to replace that. and I know that the radius is x minus 5. So here we have the area equals pi r squared. Let's go ahead and divide both sides by pi, and when you do that, you end up with 25 equals x minus 5 squared. And I'm going to go ahead and use the square roots method to solve this because I think it's the easiest in this particular case. And we know that to undo squaring something, you're going to take the square root of both sides. So if I took the square root of that and the square root of that, this is what I get as a result. And to get x by itself, I would add 5 to both sides. So I either have a positive 5 plus 5 for that, or a negative 5 plus 5 to take into account that negative square root of 25. And so, as you can see, my answers would be 0 and 10. And that is it for 3.1.